Everybody,
Hey,
welcome to my boss.
Welcome to Mom Balls, y'all.
I'm
welcome.
I'm Latuanis.
I'm Robin.
I'm Nilka. We're so happy to be here today. Get excited, y'all. It's going to be a great show. What we got today, y'all?
So we're going to start out with our segment that we have, which is called Who's Winning in the IE. And this week, I'm happy to announce that my daughter, Layla Simone, who attends LMU, was nominated, not named, but nominated for Freshman Player of the Week. And that was as a result of her two games that she played in last week, last Thursday, the 29th, and against Portland, and then the 31st against Gonzaga. So because of Layla seeing more playing time on the court, she's playing great defense. She's shooting more. So a combination of all of those things, she was nominated for Freshman Player of the Week, along with two other freshmen. So
That's
we're
big
really
time.
excited.
Go Layla. Go Layla. And for those of you who are not from California, that's Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, California.
Yes.
And so we're so proud of Layla. She's doing her thing. And so then I want to just give an honorable mention to Notre Dame for winning their Gator Bowl. And it was so fun to watch. My son had a lot more playing time. Unfortunately, when someone before you gets hurt, you get a little more playing time. But he had, like, overall the whole year, 400 and something snaps. He had an amazing tackle, which just got highlighted on Notre Dame website. So number 21. And we're just proud of him because he really did his thing. He balled out. So it was fun watching that game. That was on December 30th. So if y'all didn't catch the Gator Bowl, go back and catch it because it was a really good game. It was a really good game. So congratulations, Notre Dame. Congratulations, Jaden and Layla.
Yeah, congrats to both.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank
Yes.
you.
So let's get it,
So
y'all.
we're excited today. Our hot sports topic today is Brittney Griner is home, but are WNBA players safe or at risk overseas? And today, our guest is a friend of mine. Hey,
Hello, how you doing?
Tyree Ali. He is a retired fireman of 30 years. He resides in Los Angeles, California. His discussion with us today will touch on the Brittney Griner story, which is hot. Everybody knows that Brittney's home, and we're so thankful for that. But also, we're going to feature his amazing daughter, Kalina. And let me just give you a little background on Kalina. She was highly recruited from Mater Dei High School. Her name is Kalina Mosqueda Lewis. I think I said that right. Okay, but she was highly recruited from Mater Dei High School in California. She played at Connecticut for 4 years. She also plays in the WNBA with the Seattle Storm. She was a third round draft pick, and she's currently playing overseas in France. So she's a big deal. So we're excited to have her dad. And I've had just a few conversations recently with Kyrie, and he's a wealth of information and so passionate about how well his daughter has done over her basketball career. So I'm actually going to give you an opportunity now to just give us some of Kalina's accolades so we know a little bit about her.
Okay, so we started. Kalina, about 10 years old, kind of wanted to play a little bit of travel basketball. She started playing in the IE with a team Beyond the Rim, known as BTR. She wanted to continue on with her basketball career. So she's like, Dad, what do I need to do to get better? I'm like, well, if you're asking me, it means you need to get up early in the morning and you need to constantly work on your game day in and day out. So we would get up about 5 in the morning, go to the gym. I'd sneak her to 24-hour fitness, said that she was 13. She was pretty tall at her age. And she's put in the work. So after that, she wanted to do a little bit of travel basketball. So we met a guy named Kevin Morrison, who's a well-known coach. Actually, he coached at Cal as well. Um, Give us some insight of we need to get her out of the West Coast and we need to get her to the East Coast and see some of the other ladies how they play. It's different from the West Coast. A little more aggressive. The ladies were much bigger, much stronger. So we hopped on a plane I joined the travel ball team called West Coast Premier. And we got an eye of seeing some elite basketball. And that's when we kind of ran into Maya Moore, which is one of the elite basketball players that was out there. Did travel ball for a while, end up with a team called Tennessee Flight. Tennessee Flight program was awesome. It was under Matt Insel, under his brother named Tom Insel, and they had a strong program. So we left California and we played on the East Coast. We went to Tennessee. So how we would do practice, he would send videos, tapes, and we would do stuff before the tournaments, and then we'd fly out there to whatever tournament, either it's Boo Williams, Oregon Trail, some other tournaments in Texas.
So hold on, I got a question. I have a comment. So
Yes.
that's going to be what our listeners are going to be listening for, because we talk about, doing what it takes for our kids. And that's interesting to me that you guys picked up, left Cali to go move to a whole another state.
Actually, let me interrupt you real quick.
Yeah.
We still stayed here in California. We just left the programs in California and went to an East Coast program. So,
but you lived out there though, right?
No, we would live here. So we live. This is the rule before. I guess there's like a new rule where you have to be like the border of each state to play another program. Okay. So at that time when Kalina was playing, we were able to fly out to whatever tournament or whatever team.
Okay.
So it was under Nike. So at first we started out here, and we wanted to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter's goals were she wanted to play for Tennessee. She wanted to play under Pat Summitt. So we wanted to do a kind of a trial of see how it is to go play over East Coast, the weather conditionings, the competition.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of those East Coast teams weren't coming to California.
Yeah,
it's expensive to take a whole team and bring them out to the West Coast and vice versa to the East Coast.
That's still hopping on a plane.
I
don't know if many people gonna do that. So I'm just saying, that's still huge. That you hopped on a plane to go make it happen because these are what your mentors were telling you needed to do. So you were following their lead.
So to go on with some of the ideas or game plan, we would go and play on the East Coast, and then we would still come back here and train and work out.
Yeah.
After that, we won a national championship with Tennessee Flight. And along that journey, Kalina tried out for the USA national team at 16. It's the first time they've ever had a international team or a USA team play 16 and under. So our first tournament, our first competition was in Mexico City. So Kalina was 16, and that's when we got to really see what basketball was like playing in different countries, different cultures. And so after that, we continued on with her journey. Then we went to Mater Dei. She loved Mater Dei. They were national champions. And along that whole process, Gino Ariema was recruiting Kalina. And we're like, UConn, out of all the schools, Kalina's like, well, I want Tennessee. Well, we got to see what UConn was about, the program, the ladies, the structure, the campus was amazing. So Kalina's like, you know what? I'm going to go for UConn. So she ended up going to UConn, and her freshman year, she broke Tarasi's record in Big East tournament. She accomplished a lot of accolades there and continued on. They've won 3 national championships. Kalina was All-American 2 years.
That's awesome.
Continued on, and she was 3rd pick in the WNBA draft and went to Seattle Storm.
3rd pick. All right now.
So,
yeah. Quite an athlete. So, she's obviously a decorated athlete, and she's still playing now, and that's exciting. And I know we shared in our conversations just how you've been able to travel and see the world through your daughter's basketball, which is amazing. And we're going to talk about that, but let's talk about a little bit how you were introduced to Brittney Griner along the way.
Okay. So it started off with travel ball under Tennessee Flight. Brittney Griner played for DFW out of Houston, Texas. And that's when the first time everybody's talking about 6'8", 6'7" player that was dominating the game. We're like, oh my goodness, strong, very agile lady that can play the game. I mean, her skill level was up there. So Kalina got to play against her during that travel ball era, and then continued on to Baylor. So then Kalina ended up playing against Brittney Griner when Brittney went to Baylor and Kalina played UConn. So those games were amazing. So along that process as well, Kalina was trying out for the USA national team. So she's playing alongside with Brittney Griner, trying to make it the USA national team. So we got to meet Brittney. I'm not gonna ever say that we're personally friends, but we met her quite a few times, and her attitude, her demeanor was great. I mean, I still have a picture of when my son was born. Brittney stopped at the hotel, goes, "Can I get a picture with him?" Gave him a big hug and took a picture with Brittney. So we know Brittney through Kalina playing against her and playing alongside her. So things were just great. Things were amazing just to see that that competition with Brittney. And then when Kalina was a freshman at UConn, playing against Brittney in the Final Four, Baylor came victorious, and then her season was done with UConn, and then we continued on with that battle until Kalina made it to the WNBA. Then Brittney played at Phoenix as well as Kalina played at Seattle. So just running into Brittney and seeing her play against my daughter and just watching her mannerisms with Kalina. I mean, she's a star, not because of basketball, just how she carried herself.
Yeah. And the whole world was watching while Brittney was in Russia. And she was more than a basketball player to a lot of people, and a lot of her teammates were speaking out about it's more than basketball. She's more than a basketball player. So having that interaction with her, how did you feel, personally, or even Kalina, how did you all feel about Brittney being in Russia? Were you hopeful? Were you concerned? Just give us some of your feelings that you were feeling along with the rest of the world.
I'm gonna look at it as a parent. Basketball is basketball, sports part of it. But having your child in another country being detained and not knowing, what's really going on, the situation, is she healthy? Are they taking care of her? So those concerns were just tough because being around her and knowing her, like I said, not the basketball part of Brittney, but just her as a child. I think people look at her as she's a giant, she's going to be able to handle herself, she's invincible, but no, she's a human being. She's a lady that has done well for herself by putting in the work and being around the right people. So that part was it was tough because you hear the comments, the stories, and it was just sad, some of the things that people would say because they really don't know her.
The controversy was definitely there when people were saying negative things like, well, she shouldn't have, right? Hindsight is 2020. Yeah. But when you look at what she was detained for and during the time she was detained for, many people speculate that she was actually detained as a political pawn. So that's like a whole nother story. We could talk about that and dissect that all day. But she was there in the first place because WNBA players don't get paid very well at all in the United States. I know that I heard her wife talk about, she asked her to stop playing in Russia because she said, we're good. We don't need the money. And she was like, nah, I got to do this. I enjoy doing this. Right. Tell us a little bit about what you know and the choice that people make to play overseas, especially the women. They choose to play overseas for the money, not necessarily because they are money hungry, but it's just a better living. Talk about that a little bit for us.
Well, I mean, it's a competition as well. I mean, you have other ladies that don't get the opportunity, don't even have a work visa or a green card to come to the United States, or they don't have the politics into being a part of the WNBA. So the competition is great. I mean, you have, China, you have Russia, Turkey, you have Greece, you have France, you have Spain. And so some of those elite ladies out there are amazing. So just if you're that competitive nature, you're going to want to go challenge yourself against other ladies or other people in general, And so looking at it, the money wise, you're definitely 100% right. The ladies don't make that much in WNBA compared to overseas. You make more money overseas. So I can only speak on my daughter's behalf. So just looking at it was never about the money at first. It's about the competition. So looking at it, for me to feel comfortable with my daughter, is there's 3 rules you got to look at when you go overseas. Is your daughter, son, child going to be safe? That's your number 1 priority when you look at overseas. Number 2, you look at the finances. You know, is it worth it? The contracts, are they good? And number 3, the coaching. Will the coach utilize, take care of your child? So I don't know if there's going to be a question, but I can go into a little bit of how I felt when my daughter went overseas.
Well, the question is, and maybe you could tie that into it.
Okay.
Why did she choose France?
France, at the time, everything was for sure. If your child gets injured, gets sick, they're going to take care of them. If your daughter gets pregnant, they're going to help you take care of it. So everything in France and that whole system was guaranteed. And your agents were making sure that your child was taken care of. But your big monies are Russia, Turkey, China. The competition is there. And it's different as a guard overseas, because for overseas players, they're looking for bigs. So if you're a big, you're going to have a better opportunity, more money, more chances of getting on an elite team, because a lot of other players were short. Like if you go into the Asian culture, or if you go to France, or you go to Spain, your guards are small. So they're looking for bigger players. So just looking at the situation was going to benefit my daughter within competition and finances, you know, especially for a game that she loves.
Yeah.
That is your question?
Now, do you also think that, well, with the situation with Brittney Griner, that was an isolated incident, and we all have, you know that it was political, but with your daughter being in France, as far as safety, it sounds like France is a good place because they take care of their players, but have you ever had any concerns about being overseas, you know, in a foreign country for your daughter?
No, because we started off with Kalina making the national team, and at 16, she had to go to Mexico City, and everybody was like, we're going to stay in our hotel. My wife and I were like, why? When you go there, you're going to look at it just like they have the fancy malls, fancy restaurants, and what you hear being here in the United States, you don't hear the positive stuff of overseas. So when we went to Mexico City, the hotels, the churches, the places were beautiful. So we're kind of like, we're getting one side of the story here in the States, but then when you go there, you see it. So we started traveling. After Kalina did the Mexico City, she went to France, and that was my first taste of France. She played in Toulouse, and it was amazing. I went there. The USA ambassadors, everybody was like, we're going to take care of your child. They're not allowed to roam, do crazy stuff. But when you got there, you got to look at it like, oh, this place is amazing. And then my daughter got to play in Russia. So she played in Kazan and the university games. And not once I felt weird, scared. I mean, when people know that you're lost, they're going to stop and talk to you. And like I said, you don't get that information when you're just stuck here in the States.
Right.
But you go out there and brighten, or go out there and look at things, or find out for yourself. Not once my wife and I worried about Kalina having a hard time. And one thing with Kalina, when she went to France, one of her teammates asked her, Kalina, I need to go to a children's hospital. Kalina's like, can I go? Kalina looked at it like, well, usually United States, or usually players from another country don't come and ask. Kalina's like, well, also I want a tutor. So she got a tutor and was able to visit hospitals. And they fell in love with her because she embraced the culture. And that's what you got to do when you go to another country. You can't bring your own views, your own ways when you go to another country. You got to be willing to open up and listen and learn. And then once you do that and you embrace another country, they're going to love you.
Culture.
So my
What's traveling like? What was traveling like? So if I understand correctly, the women that play ball in the US choose to join a team. Brittney Griner, for example, she chose to join a team, or she was asked to join a team, however it works, in Russia. She travels by herself. She gets herself there. How does it work? Does the team have, do they coincide with her people? How did she get through that custom situation and wasn't protected? I mean, I guess she broke the law, right? Technically, but give us a little insight. I'm curious how the travel experience is when you're coming from the US to play on a team in another country.
You have to, you hire an agent. So you get an agent, and the agent's going to do all the things where they're going to make sure is your child safe. They're going to ask you, what are you looking for? And so they're going to go to whatever the program and say, well, you want this player, and this is what this player is asking for. And it's not in a way of being disrespectful, but in a way of, are they going to be safe? So transportation. So for my daughter is, who's going to pick her up at the airport? Does she have a place to stay? Is the place safe? Where is the practice facility? And usually the managers or usually the owners will come and greet. And like I said, every experience with my daughter has been nothing but positive because they love her. Because again, they're excited to get a player that's coming from the United States because by bringing more information, it's going to give their chances. So you got to understand, they want to come here to the United States as much as we want to go to other countries and visit. When you go on vacation, with your family members, you're like, oh my God, this place is amazing. They want to do the same thing here.
Right.
So they're not going to try to do anything wrong to make things uncomfortable for your kid or for you. So they want the experience of the United States. So answer your question is, yeah, there's an agent that set up everything, make sure my daughter had the transportation. So when we take her, like she just flew back to France a week ago. We take her to LAX International. We wait for her to go through all the stuff, give her a kiss goodbye, and she goes off. When she gets to France, they have either the team, general manager, or somebody pick her up at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
They take her to wherever she's staying, or if they're getting their housing together. But like my daughter, she has her own apartment. They give her a car. They make sure all the insurance and everything's taken care of, and they have somebody kind of show her around. So where this is the practice facility, this is the game, and this is restaurants, and this is what we recommend. So they take care of all that stuff.
Does she have to cook for herself, or is she over there eating their food?
No, their food is not. Hey, their portions are smaller, which is good. But no, she makes her own food because when you're at that level, when you're a professional athlete, you have a regimen. You can't just eat whatever. And you got to think about other countries don't have preservatives, so they have the healthy sugars, they have the healthy food, so there's less of fast food and junk. But my daughter, she cooks for herself, but she has do
they get them a per diem?
It's part of her.
It's just part of
money.
Yeah,
whatever contract, she can use that money, whatever. So it's part of her contract, whatever money she has, and they get all the information for where to go shop and stuff like that. So it's just like here. Seriously, you get up, you go to the store, you walk to the store. People know who you are because they know you're American and they love it. Hey, how you doing? So no, it's
Kyrie, let me ask you this, because your daughter is unique in that not every player plays in the WNBA and overseas at the same time. So I know that's very demanding because her schedule is how the seasons, it's WNBA season, it's overseas season. Right. So I guess some of our final thoughts for this podcast, tell us about how she balances and what that looks like playing in the WNBA and also playing overseas.
It's very hard because you got to think about it. The wear and tear of your body. If you look at men playing in the NBA or playing, they have a time off. For the ladies, they don't have a time off. So I can go off. I'll kind of tell you a little bit. So when Kalina got drafted to Seattle, women's WNBA is kind of summertime. And then in the wintertime, 9 months out of the year is overseas. So there's a rest period. They're not getting first class tickets. So they're sitting in coach or sitting next to the person. So imagine if you're a 6 foot and above player, you're sitting with everybody else because the money's not there. So she would have to do WNBA. And then after WNBA, depending on if you win the playoff, you win the championship, you maybe have a month off or maybe a couple of weeks, because overseas they want you. They're not worried about WNBA because they're not working together. So she has to report to whatever the team and then do all the training. And usually overseas, they have 2 practices a day. So the wear and tear of putting in the work is very difficult. So when Kalina comes home, she's very strict on diet, training, massage, and all that stuff like that. So you understand, there's no time off. There's no break.
So they play, you said that it's 9 months. They play for 9 months on one team?
For 9 months, correct. Because if you're on a legit team, you're part of either the French League, the Euro Cup, and the Euro League. So when you're playing in the French League, you're playing against French teams.
Wow.
But also, if you're part of the Euro Cup, your team is good enough, then you're going to fly to Prague, Slovakia, Russia, England. You go all over. So you still got to play in your league as well as the Euro League. And that's where you make your money. So if you're a part of the Euro League, you make more money instead of just playing in Brazil, France, Spain. So go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
So can you give us a really quick your understanding of the average player in the US
correct
versus the player that is in the US and takes money to play overseas? Is it life-changing money? Is it a couple $100,000? Is it millions? What is the
No, not even close. That's the thing where people don't understand. So WNBA money is WNBA money. You know, we could talk about that all day. Depends on who supports it, the people that go to the games,
right.
All the things. So, but for a lady, it is life-changing because you're getting double pay. So you're getting paid by WNBA, you're getting paid overseas.
Right.
So
how do they do it?
You have no choice because you live that lifestyle, but it's a psychological problem. You think about it. You're playing WNBA, just like the men are NBA. So you've worked your butt off to get to the highest level you can get.
Yeah.
And you're getting this amount of money.
Yeah.
Right.
And then knowing that you have to go overseas because going overseas, you're doubling everything. So it's life-changing, but you're a professional athlete.
Yeah.
No matter if you're male or female, you're still a professional athlete. You've done all the things to get to the highest level. So you expect to get compensated. You expect to get the love. You expect to get a little bit of the money, you know, because I remember back doing research back in the day. You saw your NBA player, you don't know his name, Chris Jackson, Tyrone Johnson, whatever it is, didn't play at all in college, play a little bit, but makes it to the NBA.
Yeah.
They make $850,000.
Right.
Your top elite WNBA player back when my daughter was playing earlier was 116,000.
Right.
About 850,000 to your elite player, Ross, Griner, Candace Parker. And I'm just throwing numbers out there. I'm just showing you the difference of here and there. So as a lady, you have to go play.
Yeah.
It's a man's world.
No, that's a whole nother show.
It's heartbreaking. It's hard because seeing my daughter put in the work, the time, the effort, and then still got to do both.
And it's part of the challenge is that there isn't a huge as big a support. There isn't a big fan base as there is for the men. And so there are groups and even men, and Kobe was one of them that's trying to bring a bigger light. Yeah.
He was going to.
He's get it bumped up with some, you know.
But I think that the movement will get there eventually. We believe that. And
has to be the sponsors though. It's gonna boil down to the sponsors.
Well, then that's the thing is, like you say, if you go to like the men's game and you have the alcohol, and usually in a women's game, even you have younger kids. So when you see your actors, you see your other NBA or other sports people that have daughters, and that's where it's going to change. Because watching Kalina play, I got to see Dee Brown's daughter. I got to see players like Kobe's daughter or Kobe. When they have a child that's a lady, you want to endorse, you want to support, you want to give all they got. And said that's where it's going to come from. It's going to come from those parents that have daughters that want to help them pursue, whatever sport they play in. So it is a big difference, and hopefully it does change.
Well,
but
we're proud of hearing about Kalina. How tall is Kalina? I'm curious.
she's 6 foot.
6 foot. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
6 foot. Yeah.
congratulations on her success, and we wish her continued success. Ladies, you have your closing thoughts or?
Well, I want to give a shout out to Kalina's Instagram. She's KALEENA 23. So please follow her. I mean, her career is decorated and she's still playing. And so we want to support her. And we just want to thank you for coming and just shedding some light, bringing some more humanness to the Brittney Griner tragedy in Russia. And, just sharing about your daughter and all of her successes and how this WNBA and overseas thing is working. So I know I'm listening, and I listen to you on a good phone conversation because I have two daughters that play, and one aspires to go to the WNBA. So you have a wealth of information for me. So I appreciate that.
Thank you
so much.
Yeah, if I can throw it in there, don't be afraid. Like I said, until you go out there and you visit other countries, it's not as bad as what people think it is. It's been amazing. It's opened my life. It's changed my relationship with my wife, my kids. So don't be afraid.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
All right,
sharing.
y'all, we got to say our traditional line, and that is Mom Ballz out.
Ballz out.
Together.
Take care, ladies. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.